everyone, Cheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing in an old style Matchbox look, X-Transbot's Fiorvanti. I got him on clearance from TF Source back before deployment, and I'm finally now getting a chance to look at him. He's a pretty cool race car, and I really look forward to showing him off to you guys.
X-Transbot's Fiorvanti, function strategist. How is it possible to have a civil war? Perceptive, composed, and resourceful, Fiorvanti leads his time and dimension traveling contingent for a detached disposition. He prefers to react to factual details on the ground rather than analytical data. Time and dimensional hopping often change his appearance in addition to his standard alt form. Fiorvanti sports an auxiliary attack mode. He is forceful combatant with a brilliant military mind and skills to back it up. He comes equipped with multiple weapons, both handheld and vehicular. Fiorvanti has trade armor for speed, which leaves him vulnerable to ambush tactics. Strength is 5, intelligence 9, speed 8, endurance 6, rank 8, courage 9, firepower 7, skill 9.
So this guy is pretty cool, I guess. Character-wise, he's supposed to be their take on the Omnibot leader Overdrive. I will admit I don't know too much about the Omnibots, but the original Omnibot Overdrive was a red sports car, and I think his face in robot mode might be a little bit different. And if I remember right, I did just a little bit of research on the Omnibots. I think they do time travel or dimension hop or whatever from time to time. Like I said, I don't know much about them. And if that is the case, what's in the bio, then it's a perfect example as to why he has a different repaint. So I guess my interpretation is, based on the bio, is that he changed his appearance to be what his local version would be, so that I guess he blends in or whatever, or at the very least so the universe doesn't reject him, or whatever explanation you want to come up with. So instead of being a red sports car, he's a yellow and black race car, which is pretty cool. Most of these stickers, well, pretty much none of these stickers come applied. Most of them are staying on pretty well, but the two biggest ones on the doors, as you can see, do not want to stay curved to the door, so that is pretty annoying, because I think those are some of the coolest stickers, are those. Obviously he does have visible head syndrome in his vehicle mode, but I don't care about that too much, because obviously who's going to be looking under the car? As a car, just as a car, he is really cool. And the doors do open to reveal seats, so that's pretty cool. Although since he is a race car, I'm assuming it's definitely not American, definitely probably European. But he also has a steering wheel in there, which is pretty cool. If you will just focus in on that, there you are. Yeah, nice steering wheel, and yeah, I think that's pretty cool. The wheels don't really turn, which is fine by me. Let's see, what else? He does have pop-up headlights, which I think is really nice. Just press up on those little buttons, and they push up. And then I guess you can maybe pull up on them a little bit if they don't go all the way up when you push them, because they're not spring operated. It's just you're essentially sliding them up with those. So that's pretty cool. So I guess I wonder what those are supposed to be then, if they're not, maybe they're like high beams or other lights, as it does have a little bit of that lined look. Oh, come on, focus on there. Which could be implying other headlights or other lights of some kind, because he is a sports race car. This sticker is also starting to peel up, so it's really annoying. Part of me is half tempted, at least if too many of the stickers start to come off, just to take them all off and just leave him as a yellow sports car, because dealing with stickers like this is pretty annoying, and I doubt I can really just order another set of stickers from X-Transbots. There might be a way to do that, but I really don't care that much to do that. I'd just rather just turn him into a normal sports car or something. Okay, so there is another thing that you can do in his vehicle mode. It's this right here. He has a set of guns that can flip out, which I think is kind of cool. Here are the blast effects for these guns, although it does look like it's sagging just a little bit. And there we are, which looks pretty cool. He also has another gun that can go on him in his vehicle mode. It has this little tab right there. It just slides right into there, although it doesn't seem to stay in there quite too well because it is just a little bit of friction. And then you can take, I'm assuming, like one of these and just, well, maybe not. Let's see. There we are. I'm assuming, yeah, it's just ever so slightly different because he does have 3 different handguns, one of which, like I said, can go on in his vehicle mode. So there's that, and let's go ahead and take off the blast effects, as those do really get in the way. And like I said, that doesn't stay on very well. He does, like I said, have 2 other guns. There's this one, which can also fold up, and it does have a double-barreled blast effect, just smaller than the other one. And then, yeah, that just folds up like that. And then here's this little handgun right here, which uses the smaller of the single blast effects, which is pretty cool. Although I will admit I don't use blast effects myself too often, and I think those are a little too rounded. Doesn't look as much like the blast. I will say I do prefer Hasbro's blast effects more generally than the third-party ones. That one folds up like that. Yeah, weapon storage for the guns go in there, and you just plug the barrels of the guns into each of those 3 holes. But to make it a little easier, let's do this one first. Just plug that in, and then plug that one in, and then you have the guns in storage mode. Although I would say that if you just want to make sure you push them down firm enough, or else they'll just come loose and drop out. And then he does have a little flight mode. You just pretty much get that rotated, get the wings out. There we are, got the wings out. And then do is pretty much just getting these flipped around, which I guess go ahead and pop open the doors and pop this up. Rotate around to show off these vents, which I remember, yeah, these little vents. And then close up the doors, and then you have him in his flight mode. Now, there is supposed to be a way to attach a stand, but unfortunately it does not come with a stand, so you could, if you have the right stand, have it, well, flying through the air. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the car mode. I guess it's about time to look at his robot mode. And here we have him in his robot mode. He is deceptively simple, but also at the same, like, it's relatively straightforward, but the problem is X-Transbot's instructions tend to be a little unclear to me. But I will say his robot mode looks really cool. I definitely love this head sculpt of his. I really do. I like the colors. I like all of it. The nice light blue visor with the white painted face with yellow head and just silver for the crown with the stripe going down the middle of it. And then of course I do like that painted in detail on the waist. I do like how there is enough painted detail that if you decide not to put the stickers on him, he'd still actually look pretty cool. Another thing that I didn't realize when I was first transforming him, like before the practice transformations before doing the actual video, I didn't realize that this is supposed to tab in exactly like that. It was mine when I first transformed. I think I just had this kind of resting on the back of his waist. So I do like how it is designed to be pretty clean in that regard. Yeah, he is pretty cool, but I will say there is one issue, at least for mine. It's possible I've just been mistransforming him this whole time. Like I said, the instructions aren't the best in my opinion, but right there, when this part right here on the shoulder, when you're pulling it out, sometimes it can rub up against that quite a bit, causing a little bit of damage. But other than that, he does seem to transform without, too much concerns of breaking anything. And also the way he transforms, you don't really have to worry about damaging the side mirrors, which I think is really nice, a bit of a relief. And this guy is pretty hefty because he does have a significant amount of die cast. And another thing I didn't necessarily note while he was in his car mode, but with the exception of the problems with some of the stickers, he does look like he could just be a standalone, larger die-cast car that doesn't even transform. That's how good I think his alt mode is. But the robot himself, it's like I said, it's really weird. It's like he's complex but also simple at the same time. Like you can clearly see where everything should go for the vehicle mode. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, he does have the handguns. I'm pretty sure, even though this one's for vehicle mode, I'm sure he can also hold it in his robot mode. And I think it's interesting that they give him little guns, but then again, he goes more for speed and all that, so that kind of makes sense. Let's go ahead and see how this looks with, let's see, it was the smaller one for this gun. Just put that in there. Now the downside is with the way he transforms, this doesn't really lock in the outward position, so it does sag a little bit. It's not too noticeable, especially if you lift his arm up a little higher. But oh man, he is pretty cool. That's honestly, like, even though I didn't know anything about the character, and considering it is a repaint that I'm assuming isn't even in any of the Transformers media, it's just something, a repaint that they decided to do with their own mold, and I still think it's really cool. I really love the head sculpt as and it was on clearance, so I was like, definitely want to give this guy a shot. He is, at least visually, really cool. I will admit there are some issues with the robot mode. Like, I think he pulls off the car mode very, very well. The main issues, like I said, are the hands, where they just wobble like that in the robot mode, and then the at least this one, maybe tightening that screw might help, but it just depends on how tight that screw is to begin with, because if it's in there all the way fully tight, there's not much that I can do. On this side, it is nice and stiff. And I think this little metal panel is supposed to help hold that in place, but if it comes loose, obviously that's going to wobble. So there we are. Now it's not, wobbling all over the place. But that's the thing, getting everything to line up and stay lined up. But there we are. But he's pretty stable, even even if that does come a bit loose. I think I'm both criticizing and gushing about this guy at the same time. Anyway, articulation. The head is on a hinge and swivel, so it's 2 joints. There's the hinge, come on, focus, for the head, allows him to look up and down. Now, it is really stiff, so if you're not careful, it's just going to rotate the base, tilting it up, but you can get more. You can look up really far, and then he can look down a little bit, and if you decide to tilt that down, he can look even just a little bit further. With the way this is set up, he will not get any wibbly-wobbly. The head can do a full 360. Arms go out that far, can do a full 360. You have bicep rotation, just over 90-degree bend at the elbow. You have wrist rotation, wrist bend. The thumb can slide or move around on a pivot, and he does have a separate trigger finger, and then the other 3 fingers are on a hinge. And I think that that's about the limit for most articulation that I'm okay with on most fingers, unless they're significantly larger, because then you risk, having them break off, pop off, or getting lost and all that. He doesn't really have an ab crunch or anything like that, but he does have a waist swivel. He can kick forward that far, so pretty far. You can go back that far, which is pretty nice because the backpack isn't even really a backpack, because this is where you'd expect the end of the back of the robot just based on the way he's shaped, so it's perfect. So like no backpack, so that's awesome. He can do the full splits a little more if you move his arms up. Has thigh rotation, nice thigh rotation. About just a little over 90-degree bend at the knee, and he does have ankle tiltage, but it is at a higher point than one might like, although that is probably more for the transformation part. So there is another little pivot right here, which doesn't give too much, but if you do want to utilize the other hinge, it is there.
So that's about it for X-Transbot's Fiorvanti. This guy is pretty cool, has a really cool but simple looking robot mode and an absolutely stunning vehicle mode that's good enough to be a standalone car. If you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.